Hey. 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 Hi. I'm Lucius. Did you know? Fuck, come on, man. Hey, every pony. I'm Lucius, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my little corner of the internet, the interweb, as it were. Now, I'm here to talk about horror movies. A lot of horror movies. Not right now, in the future. Hypothetically, if I can keep it up, I'd like to talk about a lot of horror movies because that's my thing. I'm gonna talk about horror movies, and not just like I'm not doing a CinemaSins. I'm not gonna talk about like, oh, those are the plot holes, because I don't really care about plot holes. If it's fun, if it's a fun movie and I like it, I don't give a shit about plot holes. Like, I love suspending disbelief. It's one of my favorite things to do, really. What I do like to talk about with horror movies is the subtext, the implication, the commentary, the where it fits in the world. You've probably heard all art is political, and that's true. That's a truth bomb right there. So I'm going to talk about horror movies. And because this is my first video, I figured I'd start with a classic. So today we're going to talk about Frankenhooker. Now, Frankenhooker, I'm going to give a little bit of background information. Let me tell you how this is going to go. That was a wet sound. Did that pick up? I hope not. I'm going to give a little context on, like, who made this movie, what's up with it, what's going on. And then I'm going to pretty much lay out an entire plot synopsis. So there will be spoilers, obviously. So watch Frankenhooker. Or don't, and just watch me. I think you should. I would say watch it even after the video if you thought it was interesting enough, because I do think it's a fun... I know the title is a bit... It's a bit nasty, but I think it's a movie worth watching. Of course I do. Obviously I do. I'm the one fucking talking about it. I'll give a plot synopsis, and then I'm gonna talk about then I'm gonna do critical theory on it. Alright? That's what I do. I theorize. What's the pose he does? Like this? Something like this? I was told by a classmate once that I reminded them of MatPat after I did a presentation on a horror movie. But I don't do... I do critical theory, but I don't do theories. I'm not going to tell you that I think that the Frankenhooker is secretly Batman. They do both take place in New Jersey, though, actually. I realize as I'm saying this. That's cool. There's a lot of shit going on in New Jersey. There is so many stories, like horror and other genre work set in New Jersey. What the fuck is going on down there? Why do you... I don't know. I've never been to New Jersey. Maybe I never will be. I have been to New Jersey. Have I been to New Jersey? I don't think so. They have Batman. Gotham is in New Jersey, if you didn't know. Gotham's in New Jersey. House is set in New Jersey. House MD. That's how the theme song goes. The Saw movies are set in New Jersey. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Gerard Way is from there. My Chemical Romance. You know. Okay. Jesus, none of this is relevant to what I'm talking about. So Frankenhooker is a film from 1990. It's directed by Frank Henenlotter, who also made movies such as the Basket Case trilogy and Brain Damage. He's actually a film historian, so he's done a lot of work for saving lost films, help preserving films that might otherwise be lost to time. Typically, sexploitation horror films, a la the vein of Frankenhooker. One interesting thing about Frankenhooker is that it's a trauma team film, which you might recognize from their many New Jersey titles, because all of their films are set in, not all of their films, but they have like a sort of in-universe set of films that are set in New Jersey in Traumaville, such as The Class of Nukem High and The Toxic Avenger. And they did also produce Vegas in Space, but that's not set in New Jersey, it's set in space. So Frankenhooker is a trauma production, but only in retrospect, because they bought Shapiro Glickenhaus Entertainment, which produced Frankenhooker originally. They bought that company in 2021, so way recent. I thought was interesting. The music for Frankenhooker is Joe Renzetti, who composed the music for Child's Play with the doll, you know.
Gender fluid.
The makeup and the special effects and makeup supervision for Frankenhooker was done by Gabriel Bartalos, who also worked on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, From Beyond, which is Stuart Gordon. It's with Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. It's pretty much the same team as the Reanimator films, which I will definitely talk about in the future, because they're like, I love the Reanimator film. I love Bride of Reanimator. And Gabriel Bartalos also worked on 6 of the Leprechaun movies. That's less than 10. A lot of other people worked on the makeup for this movie, too. There's a lot going on. Some actors of note, Louise Lasser has a part in this movie. She was married to Woody Allen. She's had a very long, storied career that I won't get into, in part because I don't really know anything about it. And Zachary has a cameo, which I will be pointing out. Zachary was one of the original horror radio show hosts. He played the character called Zachary. In originals, I'm talking 1950s. And he's in this movie. He's also in Brain Damage, which is, I mentioned earlier, but we're not talking about Brain Damage yet. So what's happens in this one? What happens in this Frankenhooker? Well, we're set in Hohokus, New Jersey, which is a real place. Okay, so it's editing Lucius, and I thought I was going to be able to put in clips of the movie throughout my synopsis, but it did not work out. So you're going to get pictures, and I might have to come in now and then and explain a little more than I did when I originally recorded this. But that's just how it is. Don't look at my hair. I showered. It's like wet and stuff. Don't look at it. Just look at me. Look at my eyes. You're just gonna get pictures, but it's gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay. You got this. You got this, champ. All right? The film starts with our protagonist, Jeffrey Franken, working on this brain thing. It's got an eyeball. He's got a tank. It's not his kitchen. It's actually the kitchen of his fiance's parents' house, because it's a birthday party for his father-in-law to be. He doesn't have a name. His fiance is Elizabeth Shelley, and they're having a backyard barbecue birthday party. They're having a backyard barbecue birthday party. They're having a backyard barbecue birthday bonanza, as it were. And she gets him to come outside because he's in the fucking kitchen with the brain. We find out that Elizabeth is fat because she can't stop eating pretzels. She's tried everything. She's tried diets and workout routines, and as she tells her friend, she's even let Jeffrey staple her stomach. You're probably thinking Jeffrey's a doctor, right? He's got this brain experiment. He's stapling his girlfriend's stomach. He's been kicked out of 3 medical schools. He works for New Jersey Power and Electric. He calls himself a bioelectrician. But since they're going to be married, she's like, yeah, I'll let him do stomach staples on me. Why not? What the hell, am I right? It's just my stomach. It's just my organs. It's just my vital organs. It's time for presents at the backyard barbecue birthday bonanza. And Elizabeth and Jeffrey have their gift to her father is a remote-controlled lawnmower. How suburban dad, right? Jeffrey rigged it up, because he's, Mr. Brains over there. And I'm not talking about the thing in the case. So she's showing her dad the remote control for the lawnmower. And the bonanza turns into a massacre. Not really, actually. It's not really a massacre, it just kills her. I don't think that counts. But yeah, she turns it on and she's standing in the way, and it totally mows her down and over. And then we get the title card. As a result of the lawnmower, Elizabeth is fully, dismembered in pieces everywhere, all over. The police can't even figure out where all of her pieces are. There are pieces of her missing. It's been, I don't know how long it's been. I don't remember. I think maybe a few months. Jeffrey is not taking it well. I mean, can you blame him? I wouldn't take it well either. But I probably wouldn't do what he's gonna do. Jeffrey isn't taking it well. He's got a blueprint. He's got this crazy blueprint. I don't understand anything about engineering, so I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense or not. I would guess not. But that's not an educated guess. That's just a Lucius guess. Sometimes Lucius guesses are educated, but this one isn't. This is a run-of-the-mill C-tier Lucius guess. He's got a plan, he's got a blueprint, and he's real into it. He's real obsessive. His lovely mother, Louise Lasser, played by Louise Lasser, is worried about him. She wants him to find a new girl to date, and he doesn't, because he's got a blueprint. He's got a blueprint. I don't know why I winked. He does have a blueprint. That's not. He does have a blueprint. It's very real. It's not blue, but it is a print. He delivers this big speech. She's like, because she's really worried about him. She's very genuinely worried about him. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet lady. And she's very worried about him, and she, is trying to figure out what's going on with him. He gives this big, almost American Psycho-esque speech about his deteriorating sanity and mental health. So Jeffrey's not doing very well. He's been stealing things from Jersey Power and Electric, and keeping them in his garage laboratory, where he also has a mysterious cooler full of purple, and he talks to it a little. Well, he's not talking to the cooler so much as what's in the cooler, because he's got her head. Elizabeth, he's got her head. The missing parts, he has them. It's her head, and one of her hands, and one of her feet, and the big toe of the other foot. They have a nice dinner, they have Italian. He tells her that, there's going to be a big storm in 2 days, and this is going to be the opportunity for him to execute his plan. Now, if you know about Frankenstein, Frankenstein, there's been a million Frankenstein adaptations. They're all based on the 1931 James Whale film, and not the actual Mary Shelley novel. There's going to be a big storm, so he's got 2 days to execute his plan, or to figure out how to get the parts necessary to execute his plan. He's talking to Elizabeth's head, he shows her his collage. He has an art project. It's a collage of pinup girls that he has glued, taped, somehow secured, cut out pictures of Elizabeth's face and head onto these pinup girls. And he shows it to her. And he's like, I could make you beautiful like these girls. I could make you look like anything. I just need the right part. He puts her head back. We get the Zachary cameo, which is just, he's this crazy weather guy. This is just to reinstate that there's a storm coming in 2 days. And to get Zachary in there, because Zachary, Jeffrey's, you know, at a bit of a roadblock. He's like, I know that I got the blueprint, I got the plan, I got all the electricity shit, but I don't have human parts. Where am I going to get human body parts? You know, where am I going to find a lady to kill so that I can give Elizabeth a new body? Because all he needs is one person, right? That to just, like, I guess, decapitate them. I'm not sure if he's planning on also putting on Elizabeth's hand and foot and toe and stuff, or if it's just planning for the head. He needs to kill someone. Who's he gonna kill? He sticks a drill in his head. He trepans himself to get ideas. He sticks a drill in his head to help him get ideas. And it works. He doesn't, like, instantly seize and die. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I could not be more clear about that. He self-trepans, and he gets an idea, and he's like, oh, where to get body parts? Where to get a woman's body? Why, there's a place across the river where there are thousands of women. I don't know about that number, Jeffrey. Just dying to sell their parts. And he's talking about the red light district in New York City. So you're seeing where the title is coming into play here. He goes to the red light district, and he's like, I gotta get some girls. Hey, girls, I need you guys. He wants to find, he's not just gonna kill any lady. He wants to kill the right lady, e.g., the woman who he thinks is the most perfect. He's not just gonna pick up the first hooker he sees and take her home and kill her. He wants to see a bunch of them and take some very scientific measurements and stuff and choose from there. So they take him to Big Eggs to meet Zorro, their pimp, and he's huge, and there's crack everywhere. It's all over the place. And Zorro's got it, and Zorro's selling it. And Jeffrey organizes with him. Jeffrey's like, you know, I got money from my Christmas Club account, and I want to have a party with a bunch of girls, and I just need a bunch of girls for my party. And Zorro was like, yeah, sure, you got money, whatever, you know. And then he also asked Zorro if he could buy some crack. And he does. We cut to this scene. This is actually probably one of my favorite scenes in the film, because I think it's an interesting thing for them to add. From a critical theory perspective, I think it's interesting that they added this. And it is a talk show. Jeffrey's watching television, and he's watching this talk show, and there's a woman on it. She's arguing for the rights of sex workers, basically, and arguing for the legalization of sex work to help these disenfranchised women. He's talking about crack addiction, and, you know, that it's very harmful, obviously, and it's killing them. Jeffrey has his reaction to that. I'll do a little reenactment now. Basically, he's talking at the TV, because the TV show host is, like, talking to the lady, and he's like, you're crazy, you're a liberal. He doesn't say that, but he's very much like, you're crazy, legalize prostitution, and just totally ridiculing her. And Jeffrey's working in his laboratory, and he's looking at the TV, and he's like, don't laugh at her, she's right, this crack shit's killing him. And then he turns, and we pan over to what he's working on, because he's got a bunch of tubes and bottles and shit, like a chemistry set. And it's this huge jar of crystal rocks. And he says, this super crack will get the job done a lot quicker. Now you're probably wondering, what is it about this super crack that kills faster? It's like, does it just enhance the normal, dangerous, properties of crack? No, it explodes you. It explodes you. Jeffrey has his party, his hooker party, and he's measuring them all to try to find the perfect lady. But then he's like, he experiences regret, basically, And he's like, I can't kill any of you. I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. I can't kill any of you. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, you gonna pay us or what? They don't know. They don't know that he's doing it. He doesn't say, you know, I can't kill any of you. He's just like, I can't pick the woman. And they're like, you know, where's the money? Which is a very real, I think, reasonable thing for them to ask. This is their livelihood. He gives them his bag with the money in it. But the bag also has the super crack in it. And basically they all smoke the super crack. Jeffrey's freaking out. He's trying to stop it, but they're drug crazy. You know how it is. Jeffrey gets a little homophobic. So just add that to the tally of things about Jeffrey. Two of the girls start making out. And he's like, don't do that. That's not natural. Your bodies weren't meant to do that. That's it. Now, Zorro's actually been downstairs this whole time of the motel they're in. Not the whole time, but he's waiting for his ladies to get back downstairs. And they're not coming downstairs because they're all upstairs doing super crack. And so he goes up to check on them. Meanwhile, they're all exploding because of the super crack. Zorro witnesses it, but also gets knocked out. Jeffrey's the lone survivor because he didn't smoke the super crack. They all explode. They all explode. And he takes all of their body parts and puts them in trash bags and takes them to his laboratory in the suburbs. And he makes Elizabeth's new body, puts all the extra parts in the cooler full of purple. They do the Frankenstein scene. They do the lightning Frankenstein scene. But what's this? The lightning also strikes the cooler. I'm sure this won't come back later. It will, obviously. Elizabeth wakes up like a Frankenstein, and get this? She's purple. And she's got a fucking fit on. Where did he get that? Where did he get this outfit? What? Did he go to the store and buy this outfit? When? Was he keeping in mind that he was going to color coordinate it with his purple juice? Did he know that she would be purple? Did this outfit just manifest onto her body when she was reanimated? I don't know. So she's purple. And she also is not really herself. Basically, she recites the lines that the sex workers have been saying throughout the movie, because she's got all these different body parts from all those different sex workers, and she's like, I'm a hooker. She's like, I'm a hooker. And she leaves. And she knocks him out. She knocks Jeffrey out, and she leaves to catch the subway to go back to the red light district to do some hookering. Jeffrey wakes up and goes after her. She is successful. She finds herself a John and has electric sex with him, and he dies. But he's into it. He really does match her freak. That's one thing about this guy, is that he fully matches her freak, and he likes it that she electrocutes him to death. And that's not me saying that. That's true. Jeffrey's looking for her. We go to Big Eggs, and Zorro's sad because all his ladies died. They exploded. He's sad because all of his ladies exploded. It's this guy Goldie, and he's like, yeah, sure, whatever the hell. And then he sees Elizabeth come in, and he's like, ooh, mama, I want that purple. Oh, right. Her nipples? Can I say that on YouTube? They're purple too. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. She's at the bar. She wants pretzels. Goldie wants her. Zorro sees that she's got the Zorro brand on her shoulder from one of his ladies, because she's made of their body parts, and he starts putting the pieces together somehow. Goldie takes her to the back and eats her and explodes from it. Damn! Zorro is figuring it out, and he tries to, confront her, and he punches her in the head, and she just starts shooting electricity out of her. Her head comes off a little bit, because Frankenstein. And electricity just starts shooting out of her neck like crazy. Jeffrey gets there and takes her back to his laboratory. Zorro follows them. Jeffrey has to jumpstart Elizabeth to like get her better again from the head stuff. What's this? After the jumpstart, she's her again. She's Elizabeth again. And she's like, whoa, what happened? You know, and he's like, I brought you back to life. And she's like, that's amazing. You're a genius. You know, you could save so many people with this technology. And he's like, well, I can only save women because my purple juice, it's purple because it's estrogen-based. He doesn't say that, I'm extrapolating, but it is estrogen-based. And then she starts looking at herself and she sort of realizes that this ain't her body parts. And she's mad. And he's like, babe, I know it's a little unorthodox, but, you know, I had to do it. It's just what I had to do. It's okay. We're together and I love you. Zorro decapitates him with a machete. And he starts encroaching upon Elizabeth. He's like, you're mine. You're made out of my dead hookers. So you're mine now. And you're gonna be, I'm your pimp and, you know, etc. But then the cooler, do you remember the cooler full of juice and body parts and electricity? I don't really know how to describe what comes out of the cooler other than several amalgamations of hooker body parts. And they get him. They get Zorro. They get him. I liked that scene. I think it's cool. That's like the main body horror scene in the film. And I live for that stuff. I live for practical effects. I live for body horror. That crazy, kitschy kind of shit. I love that. So, Jeffrey's dead, and Zorro's in the cooler with the hookers, and Elizabeth's left there. What's she gonna do? She picks up Jeffrey's head, and she says, Jeffrey, I have an idea. I love her line deliveries in this movie. Patty Mullen, I love the way she delivers her lines in this film. She's not in very much. I think she's only in like 1 or 2 other films, but I loved her delivery in this. Using Jeffrey's notes on his project, she reanimates Jeffrey. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, I thought the whole thing about this thing, but the serum was that he could only reanimate women, because it's made of estrogen, and only women have estrogen. And you're half right, because she uses the hooker parts to bring him back. So he's got huge purple badonkers, and he doesn't have a peenar. Where's my Johnson? And he's utterly horrified. Elizabeth basically mirrors back to him what he said to her, you know. It's a bit unorthodox, but we're together again, and I love you, and we're together, and I love you. And that's the end of the movie. So that's the plot of Frankenhooker. Jesus. So what about it? What about Frankenhooker? Why do I care about Frankenhooker? So I'm going to talk about the stuff about Frankenhooker that I'm like, this is why I love Frankenhooker. This is why I've seen Frankenhooker 6 times. I didn't even have to rewatch it to make that summary. I just had to skim through it to make sure I got the plot points in the right order, because I've seen Frankenhooker 6 times. And I'm sure I'll see it again. I'm positive. I'm going to sort of try to go through the themes of this movie, of critical theory about this movie, in the sort of order of, like, most, I think, obvious to least obvious. From my perspective, it's subjective. So don't, you know, so just take it as you will. First, we're going to talk about objectification and commodification of women. I mean, obviously, right? It's about sex work. It's about an industry that is built on women who don't have necessarily anywhere else to turn to, who are often addicted to various substances, which is, you know, demonized and stigmatized by our society and our culture, to the point where they turn to literally selling their bodies, as Jeffrey, you know, says in the film. I categorize objectification and commodification differently because, I mean, there is a difference between them. I think commodification is based in objectification. I don't think you can have commodification without objectification. But objectification is not. It's like squares and rectangles, you know? Commodification is specifically assigning monetary value, the purchasing of, in this case, people, women. Whereas objectification is just the objectification. It doesn't necessitate commodification. Obviously, there's the sex work, the commodification of women's bodies. There's also his collages, which sort of highlights... I mean, his collages highlight how Jeffrey views women's bodies, how he views Elizabeth's body. Because he's not focused on getting her a body that matches the body that she had before it was mowed over and dismembered. He wants it to be as beautiful and perfect to him, to his view. And that means pinup models, which is objectification of women. I don't think I have to explain why. But I wanted to touch on why we talk about the objectification of women and not of men. And it's because of the patriarchy. It's because of the patriarchy. I don't know how else to say it. The reason why women are objectified rather than men, not that men can't be objectified, but sort of from a systematic institutional level, that women are objectified. That's something so easy to do that it's literally ingrained in our culture, is because women are seen as the other. This is something I talk about a lot. It's feminist, critical theory. Simone de Beauvoir wrote about this, that because man is the normal, the default, right? The normal, the default. Women become something else, something other than man, the abject. And so that's like starting on the road to dehumanization, pretty much, right? So going farther down that road it's easy because the door's already open. And then in Frankenhooker, the objectification of women is made very literal, not just because of the fact that they're sex workers, but because they are literally exploded into body parts that Jeffrey uses as materials and ingredients for his projects. In relation to that idea of the normal that I just was talking about, next I want to talk about who defines the normal and how that is sort of shown in Frankenhooker. And as I said, it's men. I mean, it's specifically in the context of Frankenhooker, because I'm not really talking about racial politics in this film. You probably could, but that's not what I'm talking about. I haven't done enough, I think, research or reading to really have a lot to say about that in sort of good consciousness. I don't know. I mean, obviously sexism and racism are linked. There's the mythical norm. That's something Audre Lorde talks about, the mythical norm, which is like white, cishet, man, American, Christian, wealthy, able-bodied, able-minded, etc. That's the mythical norm. So anything that is different from that can be other. Just in the case of this movie, I'm specifically talking about the gendering, the sexism, the normativity of the man versus the inherent non-normativity of the woman because she's not a man. Just by virtue of not being a man, women are inherently, in this worldview, I don't believe that women are less than men. I'm saying in gender theory, in the cases of sexism, what is ingrained in our culture, women are seen as less than, as different, as less human because they're not men. I think this is if you're on the internet for like 1 minute, if you're on the internet for like 5 seconds, you're gonna see people guys being total sexist douchebags. Like, it's happening. It's real. It's very real. And they're defining the normal. That's the whole point of this. Here's where that talk show segment I think really comes in as interesting, because we've got this white guy basically barraging and making fun of this black woman for arguing for the rights of sex workers. I forgot to say also that this is an issue of, it's a women's rights issue, but it disproportionately affects women of color due to the higher levels of disenfranchisement that women of color face in America due to institutional racism intersecting with institutional sexism. So that's also a piece of this, and trans women as well. It's a very telling moment in the film. I think it's the makers of the film nodding to like, this is like, we do know that we're talking about something here. I don't know why they necessarily would have included a segment like that, if not to do that. I don't know. I'm not them, you know. We have that construction of the norm. The construction of normality is interesting in... I want to talk about the homophobia scene, because it's like the only scene in the movie like that, and it's so funny to me. Because Jeffrey is exploding women to pieces so that he can resuscitate his dead girlfriend. And he's like, that's not natural. Your bodies weren't meant to do that. As if your bodies were meant to be fucking piecemeal jigsawed together into a purple woman. Obviously, it's meant to be funny, it's meant to be hypocritical. But it really speaks to his entitlement as a white man, that he is defining what is normal and what isn't normal. He can fit anything to go around his definitions, and that's true of men in general, of the patriarchy. That's true of the patriarchy. What's normal, what's natural, telling women what's normal and natural for them. Shave your body hair, wear makeup, don't wear that much makeup, get implants, don't get any work done, have children, don't have children, etc. On and on and so forth. It speaks to that ideology. That if it's a man doing it, the double standard. Men can do what they want because they're men, because they're human. It's acceptable for Jeffrey to do the unorthodox methods of killing women and Frankensteining his girlfriend back together. As he says, it's just a little unorthodox, but he had to do it. But when Elizabeth does the same thing to him, he's horrified. He's totally horrified by it, clearly. And that leads us to our next point, which is castration anxiety. So we're going to talk about Freud for a second. If you don't know about Freud, he's basically the father of psychosexuality. He likes to talk about... he's dead. He's dead. Sorry. Freud's dead. Everything he talks about, because he talks about psychiatry, that's his whole thing, psychology, and it all goes back to sex for him. And he has very binary and patriarchal ideas of sex and sexuality. The whole idea of castration anxiety comes from... Because, right, if you've heard of Freud, you're probably... the thing I think everyone sort of associates Freud with is the Oedipus complex. The idea that boys sexually desire their mother and see their fathers as rivals for their mother's love. That's what everyone, everyone's like, oh, Oedipus, Oedipus, Oedipus. Whenever... Because everyone's calling everyone mommy now, And this is twinned with the Electra complex, which is the reverse, the idea that girls sexually desire their fathers and view their mothers as rivals. Now, there's also another sort of dual things that he's got going on with castration anxiety and penis envy. So he's got this idea that this whole idea is rooted in phallocentrism, right? The phallus as the center of everything. The phallus is the thing to have. It's what everyone wants. Men are afraid of being castrated, of losing their phallus, because it's their power. It's their whole thing. Is the dick. And women experience penis envy because they don't have it, and they know that they're worse because they don't have the penis, so they want the penis. The fact that women don't have a penis, and that is a real... Right, I'm talking, okay, this is gender, this is bio, I'm transgender. Women can have penises, men can have vaginas. I'm talking about fucking Freudian psychology, okay? I'm not... You know. You know what I mean. The fact that the women don't have penises leads to the possibility in men's mind that they could also not have penises, which is scary to them. And it rises the fear of, what if the women are trying to take my penis because I have a penis, and they would want it because they're women, because they don't have any. That's castration anxiety, basically, in a nutshell. And that's why Jeffrey views what Elizabeth does to him as worse than what he does to her, because she's taken his Johnson, as he puts it. Even though they've basically, to each other, they have basically done the same, materially, they've done the same thing. They've given the other a body that was not theirs. They've put their head on the body of someone entirely different. He views it as acceptable for him to do what he did to her because it was another woman's body. Because they're both... He took the head of a woman and put it on the body of a different woman. So... Because the gender markers match. The gender-sex markers match. But what she did is awful because she castrated him. And that's not natural. That's not natural, what she did. There's also a whole thing about decapitation as castration in, like, as symbolism in art. I can't speak on that. I've been meaning to read more about that, but I haven't. I know that's a thing, and I felt like I should bring it up, because Elizabeth decapitates... Because there are there are decapitations in this movie. Right? She decapitates that guy when she's having sex with him, and she actually does that to another guy too, but I didn't talk about that because it's just like another thing she does in between her going to the city and Jeffrey finding her. And then Jeffrey gets decapitated. She's decapitated at the beginning of the film. There's a lot of decapitations in this movie, and that feels relevant given the subject material, given what I'm trying to say. So, and it's all the worse for her because she's a woman and she castrated him. So it's like, ugh. Girl power. It also explains why he was so homophobic earlier, because lesbianism is a sort of form of theoretical castration, because it means that ladies can be having sex without penises involved, and that, undermines the whole man thing. Last point, I want to talk about transmisogyny, the idea of the constructed body versus the organic body, and I'm putting both of those in quotes, okay? Put those both in quotes. And basically, constructed versus organic, same deal as unnatural versus natural, different versus normal, woman versus man, right? Different, normal, unacceptable, acceptable. That's why trans is bad. Again, I'm because it's unnatural. Because you had to do things to get that way, while being not a cis man, and thus, you're not, and thus you're not as, do you know what I'm trying to say? It has pumpkins on it. The image that we get at the end of Frankenhooker, of Jeffrey and his new body, that image, I think, from a trans studies perspective, can be read as a cartoonish and bad faith caricature of trans femininity. Right? The idea that the people who are against gender ideology, this is what they might picture when they think of a trans woman. Just a guy who's now got breasts and no Johnson. So I think it's important to talk about transmisogyny in the context of this film. Right? There's already the whole... Because it's very tied to castration anxiety. Transmisogyny, specifically. Why did trans men and trans women... trans-masculine people and trans-feminine people, why are they differently affected by transphobia? Because we are. I'm not doing an oppression Olympics. Transphobia affects trans-masculine people and trans-feminine people differently, right? That's true. Trans misogyny, real thing, very real. Part of it is because of castration anxiety. The idea that a man would not would want to take away the phallus, would want to be a woman, would want to be the other. That's why trans misogyny is so prevalent. Why trans femininity is targeted so much and ridiculed so much, because of sexism. Because why would you want to be a woman? Because being a woman is like the worst thing because you're not a person if you're a woman. In this ideology. And in the case of Frankenhooker, obviously Jeffrey's not a trans woman, but he has been forcibly feminized in that way that transphobes are so afraid of. Right? Of people being forced to be transgender. To be forced to undergo sex change operations. Outdated terminology, you know. And that's basically what's happening here. That's the punchline of this movie. He's forcibly feminized. Elizabeth makes him a woman. That's Frankenhooker. Watch it. There's some great line deliveries in this flick. It's an all-timer for me. It really is. I don't know if any of that was good or concise or anything. Anyway. It's on Tubi.